Welcome back, everybody. We are going to start our Under Further Review segment where we're going to talk about the AFC East this week. Last week we talked about the NFC East and what those teams did in 2016, how we thought the teams did and what they need going into 2018. This week we're doing the AFC East. Next week it'll be the NFC North. So you'll see a pattern from there. AFC, NFC, going down through the locations. But as far as this segment, we're going to start with the New York Jets, who went 5-11. I thought they were more impressive than my initial thoughts of them going into the season. They got rid of everyone they had. They were trying to get younger. They made some good draft picks, and I personally thought they were going to go 0-16 based off of the talent.
0-16?
Yeah.
No, there's no way.
I mean, the Browns did it.
Unless it's the Browns or the Lions, it can't happen.
Yeah, but I thought with the lack of talent they had on the squad, they couldn't do it, and they proved me wrong. They were better than advertised, and other than that, I mean, there's nothing much more I got to say about 2017. What was your thought on it?
For the Jets, personally, I mean, it was impressive that they got the record that they did. I mean, what do they need as a team? Is that kind of what you're asking me, or?
Yeah, well, mainly just in review of 2017.
I mean, I think they'll be better next year, and they have a decent draft spot, so they can get a good pick if they do it correctly, of course. Yeah. As far as what they need, quarterback, offensive line, receivers, defensive line is maybe the one thing that they're okay at.
I mean,
linebackers. And defensive back, so about everything, basically everything.
I mean, they're in a rebuilding state. There's a lot to do for them. In my opinion, they need a quarterback. That's the number one issue.
Course.
That's the number one issue they need to get.
If you don't have somebody to protect them, though, your quarterback ain't worth very much.
Last year, Josh McCown did his job, but Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg have not done what they're supposed to do.
Well, they're playing with the Jets, so.
Well, it's true, but I know. But I mean, you're looking at two guys that were drafted in like the third,
like I just said,
round.
If you don't have the offensive line to protect him, then it's not really going to do you very much.
And they got rid of like all of the older players on that O line, so they're bringing in a bunch. He's gone, so he's not on the team.
Where's he playing?
He's nowhere.
Nowhere.
No one's on him. He's old. And other than that, there's just a bunch of teams out there that need an offensive line, but the Jets. That would be, in my opinion, that's the position they need the least, because if the quarterback's such a big need, they need another running back. They need a star running back on that team.
Yes.
Matt Forte is not going to cut it for the next couple of years. You have...
No. 5 years ago he would have.
Yeah, no. You have a couple other guys that are there, but other than that, there's nothing impressive. And receiver-wise, they didn't have Enunwa, but they had Robbie Anderson, who showed some promise. But other than that, there wasn't another receiver who stood out.
Yeah, I mean, they like I said, they need a whole team rebuild.
Yeah,
basically is what they need.
I mean, they've started that. I mean, Jamal Adams, who they drafted last year, looks to be a star who's going to play amazing.
Yes.
They actually went last year in the draft back-to-back on safeties in the first two rounds, and they're both starting for the team. They need a corner, and they need...
Yeah, that's a big part of your defense, especially in today's football. And they're
thinking about cutting Muhammad Wilkerson, so I think they're going to get younger.
Why would they cut him?
Production. He hasn't been what he used to be.
Isn't he their best defensive tackle, though?
No, Leonard Williams is now.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I'm not completely up on this. Royce is the expert.
Yeah. From what I've heard, Muhammad Wilkerson's been a locker room cancer for the team, especially with the new head coach. So they've wanted to kind of get away from him, and he's cost them a lot of money. So from what I'm hearing about that, they're thinking about going that direction. But other than that, you can't continue with Josh McCown. You can't continue with any of the other quarterbacks on that team. But as a Giants fan, What is your thought on the Jets? Like, what do you think of them?
Why is my opinion as a Giants fan gonna be a
No.
different opinion?
This is just it's just a question. It's just a fair question.
Like, what do I think about the Jets?
Like, just the Jets organization, yeah.
I think
they,
as far as New York goes, are second rate.
Oh yeah.
I think that they have very bad luck, which does not help. But I guess with the Eagles winning a Super Bowl and the Cubs winning a World Series, I think anything is possible. Okay.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah.
And they have won a Super Bowl in the past. Yes, the Astros
winning a World Series.
You know, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, anybody can win anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, ultimately, it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, they're second rate. They're always going to be the second team in New York. I don't care how many Super Bowls they win or go to. They're never going to be number one. Jets fans kind of suck. That's just my personal opinion. I have some friends who are Jets fans, and they're cool people. But Jets fans as a whole kind of suck. They boo every single draft pick that they get.
And then they play well, and they're like, yeah, and then they suck the next year.
They get excited over. They get excited over Mark Sanchez. They obviously can't be that smart.
Yeah, and then he butt fumbles, and you never want to look at him again.
You know what? He did take him to 2 NFC Championship games.
Yeah.
There are probably Hall of Fame quarterbacks who have not done that.
Yeah,
probably.
And especially with the Patriots in your division, and just with the luck that you've had, and I mean Rex Ryan, your head coach. I mean, it's just the Jets organization in general has been that organization that just has brought in the right people, but has never been able to get it right. I mean, it was one of those organizations. But we're gonna go on to the next team now, and that's the team that I think is the biggest joke in the AFC East. And
are they the biggest joke?
In my opinion, yes, and that's the Miami Dolphins.
God.
They
cruel.
I watched them this year, and it looked like they had no idea what a football was.
Royce is very descriptive with his language when he talks crap about other teams. I love it.
It was just a weird year for Miami. Like, there were weeks where they showed up. There were weeks where they were like, all right, yeah, we're going to be a competent team and play some good teams. But then there were weeks where they were like...
what's the saying that you can say? They play to the level of their competition.
No,
so when they're playing a really good team, they play well. And then when they play a crappy team, they play like crap.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like... But that's the thing. It wasn't like they were playing a great team and playing well. They were playing sometimes they were playing a great team and completely imploded.
Yeah.
And they just were like, all right, let's just do what we do.
And they're a very inconsistent team, and inconsistency in the NFL is never going to help you win games. Never. Consistency is the key to winning games and going to the playoffs.
Yeah, but the thing I have the problem I have with the Dolphins last year was they went 6-10, and you got rid of your star running back in Ajayi. He gets traded to the Eagles for a 4th-round pick. That's its own problem. You then decide, oh yeah, so we're gonna reevaluate how we're gonna treat this locker room, and the team implodes from there. I mean, this team beat the Falcons early in the year. They beat the Chargers.
Well, but the Falcons is not the Falcons team that went to the Super Bowl. They're nowhere near that.
But
team.
The Falcons went to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, of course, a team with a losing record is going to beat a team that goes to the playoffs.
These are the teams I'm going to point out. They beat the Chargers, who were a borderline playoff team. They didn't get in. But they beat the Patriots one week this year. They beat the Falcons, and they beat some other teams. I think they beat the Jets once, and then other than that, they got swept by the Bills and beat the Patriots and Jets once. But then they got shut out by the Ravens and got blown out by a 5-11 Denver team. There's no excuse for the Miami Dolphins this year where it's like, okay, you played well against teams that...
They're inconsistent. That's basically... I just summed up what you said in a bunch of sentences with one word. They're inconsistent.
And
they will get their butts kicked by certain teams
yeah.
that are not that good, and then every now and then they will beat a team that's solid. I mean, they're inconsistent. That's what they do.
But the problem I have with them is they have, all-pro players on this team. And Ndamukong Suh is an all-pro player. Rashad Jones is an all-pro player. You have a bunch of guys on this team who play the bet some of them are the best at their position in some people's eyes. But when you have no stars offensively, and you have just a few people who can be like, oh, you know what, we're going to go down the field and score some days, and then some days they're like, nah, I don't care, I'm just going to take a break. I mean, that was basically 2017 for the Dolphins. It was some weeks we take a break, and some weeks we're going to play like it's the playoffs. And this is a team that went to the playoffs in 2017.
Yeah, and actually, they had some injuries with Tannehill.
Yeah,
and
he was also injured last year too. But
but they probably could have put up a much better fight if they would have had him on that team.
Yeah, well, instead of Jay Cutler, he's not coming back next year, and
I don't think he cares. I think he's fine with the money that he made.
He's done. But that brings us into what do they need next year to be a better team?
Quarterback. Tannehill's kind of whatever to me. I mean, he's better than Matt Moore is or Jay Cutler, but yeah, they need a quarterback, offensive line, running game, defensive line, linebackers, defensive. A whole entire team.
Not really defensive back. They have some good defensive.
You know what? That's actually true. I will take that statement back and say they need everything basically but defensive.
They need everything on offense. They need a better offensive line. They need a number one receiver. And their number one right now, I think, is leaving in free agency. So you're losing him. You lost your number one running back. You're not ready to move forward without those positions, and you have a quarterback you might have faith in. I mean, Tannehill played really well under Adam Gase in 2017, and then he's hurt this entire year, and Cutler just was like, I'm getting paid.
It's Jay Cutler. What do you expect?
Did
you expect different from Jay Cutler? I didn't.
Well, they were. They were expecting to be a playoff team.
Well, this is why the Dolphins don't go to the playoffs.
Exactly.
They expect things out of players that they shouldn't expect.
Exactly. They're sitting there, they're like, all right, we're going to sign Jay Cutler, and everyone's ripping him to shreds. Because it's like, oh, you could have signed someone else.
They would have been better off signing Kaepernick.
See, I don't agree with you there. But
oh, yeah, they would have. He can
I
run.
don't agree with
they don't
you
have
there.
an offensive line. The one thing he can do is run. See,
I don't agree that they could.
Royce is a hater.
Better.
I'm not. He's a hater.
I don't think they could have been better with Kaepernick.
You see, I hated on the Cowboys on that last segment. Yeah, exactly. See,
I would have traded for a quarterback at the deadline rather than signed Kaepernick. But
I know you would have because you're biased.
Well, it's true. Yeah, I would have gone after McCarron, but
AJ McCarron. Okay, I might take over Kaepernick, but I'm not taking Kaepernick over Jay Cutler. I mean, I am taking Kaepernick.
That's fair. I'm not going to take. Kaepernick.
I'm taking Kaepernick.
Cutler over Kaepernick, but
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. But I'm not. But they're in the offseason when they signed Cutler. I would argue that there are better options than Kaepernick and Cutler that you could have gone and
possibly
signed.
But the Bengals don't really want to let go of AJ McCarron.
Even true,
with their cheap owner, they will not.
But we're going to get into that in a little bit.
The Bengals?
No. AJ McCarron.
You don't want me on the segment when we're talking about the Bengals.
No, you're going to be on the segment.
You know what? Then Royce is going to be going nuts. It's going to be hilarious. That's going to be the comedy version.
Yeah.
Royce can make fun of the Giants. I don't care.
Did I make fun of the Giants?
No, but even if you did, there's no way you could ever get me to be bothered.
That's true, but
I'm unflappable.
There you go. All right, we're gonna head on to the next part. We're gonna be diving into the two playoff teams that came out of the AFC East. That'll be the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. See you in the next segment.